This is still the Polity, and we're still reaching you live from the Abuja studios of Kaftan TV. Right now, I have Dr. Law Mefor with me in the studio, and with him, we are going to be discussing the major issues making the rounds, particularly the escape of the BINANCE executive that broke the news just a few hours ago. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Francis.
It's good to have you again. Have you on the program once again. It's been I must say it's been a long time.
Sometimes it's good to take a break.
Definitely.
You know, from a public view, that will enable you to regain perspective. Refresh, regain your sanity.
Definitely, the sanity part is very important. And on that note, you know, Nigeria is like a lot of people like to put it, is a country that will always, you know, give you something to talk about, no matter how much you try to run away from it. And on that note, I think it's best to start from some of the issues that are making the round right now. And then immediately I saw this one in particular yesterday. I just knew the best person, the person I wanted to, you know, analyze the issues with was is going to be Dr. Law Mefor.
Oh,
and,
really?
Yes, definitely. So I want to talk about the escape. I want to talk about the escape of the BINANCE executive from the detention, like the Office of the National Security Advisor put it. They say lawful detention, and they went further to say that from the Office of the National Security Advisor that the security agencies are now, you know, working with the Interpol to apprehend the escaped BINANCE executive. Now let's start from what's your general perspective on the whole situation. Should we see it as an escape or more like a planned, you know, something?
Well, when you say escape, let us say technically define
what escape is.
What escape is. Yeah, because when you say the man escaped, it meant despite all measures to keep him, he devised some means
was able to beat
the system, and found his way out of custody. That is rather laughable to me. He was detained under the Office of the National Security Advisor. First, there is a technical problem there. The National Security Advisor does not have detention facilities, so to speak. You know, he has to use the security agencies that he oversees to effect such a detention, if he needs to do any. And here we understood that Nadine Anjawala, that's the name of the executive director of BINANCE. I don't know whether it's BINANCE or BINANCE, you know, you know. So whichever, you know, that he was not detained in the EFCC, not with the DSS, not with the prisons, not even with the police. You know, they were given an executive treatment, you know, by being kept in the guest house of the Office of the National Security Advisor. For me, that was the initial technical blunder. Why are you pandering to, you know, the whims of these people, treating them in such an executive manner, as if, you know, you didn't establish a prima facie case against them? If you established a prima facie case of financial sabotage against them, they were not entitled to that kind of treatment.
So would you say
would you say
the place where he was detained in the National Security Advisors,
it's not necessarily.
Would you say it was intentional, or,
you know, for me, that's what I'm saying.
A little bit of negligence?
It's not negligence. It was the Office of National Security Advisor is too sensitive, too organized, you know, to go into flimsy actions of that nature. What they did was intentional. They believed they should be given executive treatment. And that is what they have enjoyed to the fullest, because they exploited the environment and all that, and were able to arrange the escape of one of them. You know, I use that word escape because that is what themselves used to qualify how the man left the country. But, you know, it brings so many other issues to the fore. First, I have queried, interrogated the detention facility. I fault it. I believe that operation was very wrong. The man should have been kept with the DSS. DSS has very excellent detention facilities to escape that place. You know, you really have to be nearly a spirit. Do you understand that? But they didn't do that. They could have been kept in Kuje prisons. They didn't do that. They could have been kept with the Nigerian police. The force CID headquarters has very beautiful detention facilities. You know, so you kept them in a private house. Even at that, you ought to have provided enough security also, which I believe they did provide.
Well, you think the security that was provided was compromised?
But they were obviously involved. You say the man didn't just leave; he left with a passport. You know, the same smuggled passport. He had access to passport. Before you put somebody like that into detention, you will have to collect all the valuables, especially travel documents, even money. Everything on the person should be in your own custody. That is how it is done. That's the convention. So the man having access to a passport, and that passport we understood or understand is not even a
Nigerian passport.
It's not even a Kenyan passport, because we were told that the Nadine Anjawala, you know, the one that escaped, they enjoys a dual citizenship of both Kenya and Britain. You know, so the problem here to me is this: you didn't collect that passport. If you did, how did he get access to it? So obviously the man did not escape. The man was you know, freed. Do you understand what I'm saying? You know, the question now is who did. And again, for somebody who has been accused at that level by a country, the action they committed against Nigeria, for which they were detained, it bordered on national security, it bordered on economic sabotage, it bordered on so many things. And
cyber crimes.
Everything. So many things all rolled up in one. What amazes is that the man ought to have been flagged in the Nigerian airports. You know, his name should be, you know, should be flagged. But the question is, how come he left Nigerian airport?
I was going there. I was just waiting for you to land on your submission. For someone whose activities has been classified, has been tagged to pose a threat to the national security. You know, one would have expected his name, his identity, and all of his details to have been placed on the watch list. In all our air borders, land borders, and sea borders. But then reports has it that he left through an Arabian airline, through a Middle East airline, which means he left through a Nigerian airport.
That's the point.
So how is it possible
he was cleared to leave?
How is it possible that he was able to beat all the necessary protocols
and beat anything?
Until hours later, before the announcement.
That's the point I'm making. You know, they should stop messing with our brains. You see, the man certainly, right, was flagged in Nigerian airports. His name wouldn't come up without the computer showing, you know, that there is a red flag on this name. There is no doubt about that. There are Nigerians of no consequence whose names are flagged all around Nigerian airports. Do you understand that? Talk less of somebody accused of this magnitude of a crime against the Nigerian state, he was certainly flagged. That is why I am saying that the issue is not an escape. He was cleared to leave. There was no way he could have left through Nigerian airport. And there was no way he could have left under the same name, under that Nadine Anjarwalla. Do you understand what I'm saying? Without being detected. And that is the name under which he left the country. You know, so how do you convince me that it was not, that his name as a high risk, security risk under the detention of the office of the National Security Advisor is not flagged? Is not a person of interest. All persons of interest are flagged. All. No matter how inconsequential you are. Once the state declare you a person of interest, the next thing is to flag you. They want to monitor your movement. They bug your lines. They do all manner of things. They want to get enough.
As much information about you
as possible to be able to get on you, you know, through whatever process. They want to be sure of what they are doing. So you cannot arrest such people and keep them like that without flagging them. You know, that is why I keep saying that they were cleared to leave. That is the way I understand security runs. You know, if this has changed, if it has changed, it should even be a major warning to Nigerians. Do you understand what I'm saying? That our airports are now as porous to the point that people who are known to be enemies of the state cannot be flagged, are not flagged, and cannot be detected when they pass through Nigerian airports. The airports of any country should be the most secure.
Now, talking about these recent happenings being a major warning to Nigeria and Nigerians, and also all of the relevant agencies, how worried are you about this recent turn of events? You know, when we relate it to our national security, and you know,
the national security of Nigeria has actually taken a hit, a beating in recent times. It started for almost a decade now. Throughout the Muhammadu Buhari presidency, we saw the country's national security go down steadily. When you talk about national security, it covers everything, you know, ranging from even ordinary food security, energy security, environmental security, up to that aspect of national security that often come to people's minds, which has to do with your military preparedness and all that. You know, so we saw that it has been on a spiral, you know, going down, decline. And yes, the decline is not getting any better even now. And you will see the fire brigade approach of the Tinubu presidency trying to turn things around. But even before the Tinubu presidency took off, things had already gone too bad. Do you understand that? Because all the forests of Nigeria, you know, from north to south, all the forests had been taken over by bandits. These are Janjaweed, you know, invaders that are not even Nigerians. President Muhammadu Buhari told us that most of these people are not Nigerians. In his position as president of the country, he was private to so much. He knew what he was saying. But yet, he allowed the policies that allowed these people to get away with almost everything. There was no effort to even track, to know those who brought in the bandits into the country in the first place. I keep talking about one Honorable Baraje, a one-time honorable member of House of Representatives. He told us that bandits were brought into the country around 2014 for election purpose. And of course, you and I know that Jonathan didn't put up a fight. And the bandits that were brought in, probably to force Jonathan out of power, were dumped on Nigerians. That is the problem. And these people are now using arms and all manner of things to kidnap. When they kidnap for money. What do they need the money for?
To buy more arms.
Buy more arms, more sophisticated arms. Digging into the forest, bring in the rest of their kit and kin, of their stock that are stranded all over Africa into Nigeria. Now, initially, Boko Haram, terrorism or terrorists, technically, of course, they started as a sectarian dissension in Borno, led by one Mohammed Yusuf, who died under funny circumstances, and his members went underground, reappearing a year later, suddenly, and becoming extremely violent and all that. And of course, declared armed struggle against the Nigerian state. The jihad. That is what has been going on. You see, the point I'm making is that even Boko Haram that started off as Nigerians are no longer entirely Nigerians, because they have gone into alliance with other terrorist organizations, Al Qaeda in the Maghreb, ISIS in the West Africa, and there are other terrorist organizations. Hezbollah. Hezbollah. No, Hezbollah may not be too evident here, but the terrorists in Mali, in Niger, they are all part of the alliance. The behemoth alliance that has been formed by Boko Haram. Yes, occasionally we see a face-off between Boko Haram and the ISIS group and all that. But sooner than later they reconcile and still work together. They share arms, they share resources, they share strategy, they even share manpower. Do you understand that? And we have seen, through some research and reports, that Boko Haram terrorism are working closely with the bandits. They share information, they share strategy, they share funds. Do you see the problem? Now, don't forget that even before Boko Haram and the Janjaweed bandits, we already had killer headsmen. They are there. They have multiplied in number. I featured on one BBC interview sometime last year, along with a Fulani man, that lived somewhere in Anambra, and he brought so much insight into what was going on. He said that these people that are coming in and appearing to be joining them have actually swamped them. They have suffused, their number has suffused the number of indigenous Fulanis. So even if originally the original Fulani headers, they allowed them to come in because it will help them to beef up their defense and all that. These people have now become a problem even to indigenous Fulanis. These are invaders. And you say, that is why some of us keep talking about state police. Because you cannot allow invaders who are armed to the teeth. These people are soulless, heartless. The kind of heinous crimes they commit. Look at what has happened with the most recent school kidnap in Kaduna.
We're still going to the.
So we have a total security crisis in our hands. Emergency. Do you understand that? Very clear state of emergency in our hands, and we need to look at it from that perspective, because Nigerians are losing ground. Like I said before, much of Nigerian forests from north to south has been taken over by these people.
All right, now, Dr. Law, still before we leave this very issue, and still talking about the implications of Anjarwala's escape from the Nigerian custody. Now, what are the implications of his escape to Nigeria's identity, to Nigeria's image in the international community, coming at a time when it's always on the news almost every day now that the president, Mr. Tinubu, is trying to market Nigeria to the international community, trying to attract investors to the Nigerian market. What do you think are the implications? At what cost will this be coming for Nigeria and the effort of Mr. President?
Well, for me, for me, worse things have happened, as far as I am concerned. His escape will fizzle out. It's a matter of time. It will have little or no meaning to the international community. They already see Nigeria in a very bad light. One is that Nigeria, as of today, is host to 3 to 4 terrorist organizations. That is the problem. I have already identified them. Nigeria is host to Boko Haram, right? Nigerian courts 2 years ago declared the bandits a terrorist organization. That is number 2. Do you understand that? If you look at the records also, Nigerian courts declared IPOB a terrorist organization. That is number 3. If you Google World Terrorism Index, you will see that headsmen constitute a terror body also. That is 4. That is enough to scare off any country. It's not about Anjawala's RNG escape. No, that won't have much impact. Where I am worried about is this. You know, I've been trying to build some scenarios. Why arrange his escape? Because nobody will tell me. I refuse to be convinced that the man contrived his own escape from the detention of the office of the National Security Advisor. I can't accept that. Those who can should. It's their own way of looking at issues. Now, let me paint a scenario here.
Okay.
You know, because they have allowed it, we should be able to reason through it. Since the story they sold is not viable.
It's not viable.
It's not. Now, supposing the man is privy to information that will embarrass the high and the mighty. That's the way I say it.
So you assume now that the man is privy to information.
You should be
because at some point it was said that some names were released that the
court ruled that they should release BINANCE should release the names of Nigerians they were doing business with. That has not been made public. Yes, the court has ordered it. So what is holding it? Nigerians need to know. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So could it be that they have gone through the names and some names that were occurring, names that occurred on the list just
will shock Nigerians.
Felt like this cannot be. This cannot go any further.
If you look at the whole scenario, how it all began, you will see that Nigerian government was looking at BINANCE as creating the run on the naira by manipulating the exchange with the dollar. Yeah. That is the summary of what this whole thing is all about. And what is that about? It is about BINANCE being used as a vehicle to move the dollar out of the Nigerian system. So who are those doing that? If you understand what has happened to the naira and the dollar exchange, you will see that it is a simple economics of naira losing the number 1 function as a currency. When we were growing up, in our teens, maybe 12, 13, economics, right? We did economics. Function of money. Number 1 function of money, exchange, medium of exchange. Number 2 is store of value. Naira can no longer serve as a store of value. These people are mopping up the hard currencies with their naira, and you can't find the dollar anymore. That is what this whole thing is all about. That is the layman's way of looking at it. In summary, that is what it is. And the office of the National Security Advisor went after Nadeem Anjarwalla and his colleague when they entered Nigeria and accused them as much as I have stated. Do you understand that? And of course, they went to court to protect the confidentiality of those, but Nigerian court ruled otherwise, that you have to make these documents are available, because it has become a security issue. And you know that when it comes to national security of any country, the issue of individual confidentiality will have to take the backseat.
Yes, definitely. But then, finally, on this very issue, part of the charges the federal government is laying against them is tax evasion.
Yeah.
Of course, Binance do not have an office in Nigeria. How do we juxtapose this very scenario? Because they don't have an office in Nigeria. How are they meant to remit any form of tax to the Nigerian government?
Well, you see, when you talk of office in modern sense, right? Physical office, you know, is vanishing. If you really look at it, physical office. The fact is that they have a Nigerian market and a Nigerian business hub. It's Nigerian. It doesn't matter whether they have office in Lagos or Maitama or Enugu. No.
Okay.
The fact is that they have a business hub that is purely Nigerian. They have to pay tax for raising money through Nigerians.
For making profits.
Yes, they are making
yes,
yes, that's it. And I don't think, I really do not think, I'm not too sure of this, but I do not think that the physicality of the office will vitiate or make this argument of government untenable. It's tenable in the sense that you have a hub that is totally Nigerian and you're making money out of it. Wherever you are doing that from, the money you make from Nigeria is leaving from Nigeria. You pay tax on it. That is, you're not a church, you are a business venture. So why are you not paying tax? You know, so for me, ignorance of the law should not be seen as an excuse in this.
Okay then, that's it about the Binance executives' escape from custody. Now, the federal government has denied paying ransom to free the 137 Kaduna school children, and quite a lot has been said about it, coming from the security agencies, and federal government also saying that Sheikh Gumi is not above the law, and also talks of his arrests, talks of his invitation for questioning are already on the cards. What are your thoughts on this, and why do you think the federal government are so quick to, you know, let the public know that no ransom was paid? Because one would have expected that a release of this magnitude happened and not even one arrest was made.
You know, let me answer the question this way. In social psychology, there are basic research we conduct on behavior of people in public places. We discovered, right, that people alighting from buses, from trains, right, and conscious of the fact that there may be pickpockets around, you know, unconsciously try to protect that pocket where their money is. What that tells you is that, you know, when somebody is telling you don't look in this direction, that may be the direction
to look.
That's the point I make. You know, government, it says it was not a negotiation, it was a rescue. But we know how rescue operations, you know, how they play out.
That's the exact question Nigerians are asking. The 137 school children were rescued, no casualty on both sides. No single no arrest,
nothing mentioned.
So Nigerians are asking, why is the federal government so quick to say that no ransom?
First and foremost, as a patriot, I wouldn't want the Nigerian government to ever admit to paying ransom. Even if they did? Yes. Yes.
But the integrity will be called into question then.
If they say so. No, look, it's a global.
Yes, even
a global approach.
Even if
you did, you shouldn't as a government.
So now, are you saying there are situations that would probably force the government's hands in. Okay, this is not something we are supposed to do. This paying ransom to non-state actors is not something we are supposed to do. But because of the situation at hand, let's just do it.
It still shows two problems. If you admit that you paid ransom, two things. One is that you are sending a wrong signal that if you have paid, you can pay again. That's a problem. And number two, paying ransom to terrorists has never solved the problem anywhere. Do you understand that? The policy has been tried, even in Nigeria. When El-Rufai was governor in Kaduna, he talked about money he was giving to killer headsmen in order to stop reprisal attacks. He later regretted it. He told Nigerians that he regretted that policy. See, because it didn't solve the problem. You know why? My father, when he was around, used to tell me something. He says, my father said that if you kill a cow for your enemy in search of peace, that you are actually strengthening him to be strong enough to deal with you tomorrow. That is what ransom paid to terrorists serve as. They will use it to recruit more people. They will use it to arm themselves. They buy more arms. They will bring in more people. They will be able to deal with issue of camps where they launch their operations. In Nigerian forests, if you go there, it's a whole community. It's a whole community. They have booths where they live in those camps. They have booths. They don't just stay in the open like that. They have booths they erect that they stay, to stay away from harsh elements of the weather and all that. And of course, if you know booths, if you know the way booths are, they are tents. These tents are foldable. So when they come under the satellite in a particular place where they are, they fold and move on. And when they kidnap, like they did with these children, they picked them up from Kaduna and they were found in Zamfara 17 days after. How? That is mobility. Do you understand that? People can say that maybe they went in vehicles or whatever. No matter the means, I really don't care the means with which or by which they took 137, right?
From Kaduna,
children
to Zamfara.
Plus themselves. You don't know how many they were. They will number dozens themselves to be able to carry out such operations, right? Bikes may be involved. Do you understand what I'm saying? There may be bikes. There may also be high-wired compromise that gave them access to pass from Kaduna to Zamfara. These are the kind of things that happen in Nigeria. Remember that prison break occurred in Kuje here. Many of them stormed the place in motorbikes, carried out an operation that we were told lasted for about 1 hour.
1 hour.
Right? And went back the way they came. They were not accosted or stopped by anybody. What does that tell you? They were given the corridor to pass. That's what I'm saying. So when you have high-level collusion in security circles, they can get corridors, right? They be given a specific hour. That is when you pass. After that, you're on your own. I've run into 1 or 2 video clips like that, where you hear, such calls being made and so on and so forth. The point I'm making is that our security, agencies and operatives know more than they are ready to divulge to you and I. And of course, because it is security, you don't also encourage them to tell everything.
Too much.
In Igbo language, there's an adage that says that the Panwai Tapa doesn't say everything he says or observes from the palm tree. He may be breaking homes and marriages if he tells everything he saw from up there. Do you understand that? The same thing with security. They don't have to tell you everything. But we don't also need to know everything. What we want is security.
Security. Just keep the
secure
safe.
The country. We have had many prison breaks. We mentioned that of Kuje. It happened in Owerri. It happened in Benin. It happened in Bauchi. It happened. In fact, I can count 6 to 10 prison breaks till today. No consequence.
No consequence.
Yes, of course, nobody has been queried for it. For example, I had expected that of Kuje, the police commander of the area has a question to answer. The DPO of that Kuje area has a question to answer.
Even the commander of the Kuje prison.
He may not. The commander of Kuje prison can be overpowered. We can understand him. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because he's not quite armed beyond what he needed to keep the prisoners that are not armed, quiet, and they're compliant. But we are talking about the area commander. We're talking about the divisional commander of the Nigerian Police Force. In all these places where prison breaks took place, in all these places where the kidnaps of this mass kidnap of students took place, and above all, ask yourself, what exactly happened to the Safe School project? Yes, that was powered by Gordon Brown, former Prime Minister of Britain. You know, records show that the man brought about 10 million either dollars or pounds, his NGO. And Nigerian government was supposed to bring a counterpart funding of another 10 million either pounds or dollars. What happened to that money? What happened to that project? Now, is it rocket science for a government, even the Federal Minister of Education, can go on and set up school security system? If the Nigerian police cannot secure the federal schools, it should go on and do that. The states should go on and set up even basic vigilante around the schools that are isolated. Do you understand what I'm saying? But you know, you will say that take the case of Chibok, Buruyadi, you know, all of them, you know, Dapchi. Do you understand that? The Bethel school, all of them. We have had at least a dozen kidnaps that have taken place in schools alone in Nigeria in the last couple of years. Is that not enough to generate interest in providing security for isolated schools?
But I think plans are ongoing by the federal government now to establish a free, safe school course. I think that's from the
point.
Nigerian security.
We have had that. We have had what you have said now. We had it for more than 5. I talked about Gordon Brown. He wanted to help in this direction, and we're still talking about plans. Plans is in the pipeline. You know, this kind of indolent approach to policy makes me to love one definition of policy the most. You know, between Vilfredo Pareto and Thomas Dyer, there is this definition of a policy. I think it was Thomas Dyer. He defined the policy as what government decides to do and what government decides not to do. Which means government sitting down and doing nothing is a policy.
It's a policy. And what they decide to do too is
also a policy. So when government thinks, you know, I keep talking about when government begins to look at terrorism as a freedom fighting, it will affect your approach to tackling it. And in the Muhammad Buhari presidency, their approach was more or less
like seeing them as freedom fighters.
Freedom fighters. And that was why the military under Buhari carried out one policy they called Operation Safe Corridor. Operation Safe Corridor simply meant allowing the so-called repentant fighting forces of the Boko Haram terrorism to come out and be rehabilitated and reintegrated into the society. And hundreds of them have benefited from that. Nobody tells us the kind of debriefing, the kind of radicalization, the kind of psychological reorientation that these people are going through. In psychology, forensic psychology particularly, you have what you call recidivism. Recidivism is the tendency of an offender to re-offend, going back to the same. Yes, to go back to the same offense.
Even with rehabilitation.
Yes, even with the rehabilitation. It is expected to be high in a group of terrorists, such as Boko Haram terrorists, that you are extending this kind of policy of Operation Safe Corridor to enable them come out and join. And don't forget that they have every reason to tell you that they have repented. They are having problems with ISIS. So it means that they are constantly fighting, fighting with ISIS.
They need a break for some time.
That is it. On the right, ISIS is there fighting them. Nigerian military fighting them on the left-hand side. So they are trapped in the middle, and you are now offering them this carrot. Why would they not take it? So what is the guarantee that these people that have told you that, look, we regret what we are doing, have truly repented? That you are not embedding them back into the society that ought to get rid of them completely.
All right, Dr. Law, viewers at home now, in the next 12 minutes, I've opened my phone lines for you to call in and make your contributions and also ask your questions. The phone line you can call in is scrolling on your screen right now. Dr. Law, let's, because our time is fast spent, now in all of this, what are your thoughts on a particular name that continues to, come up whenever there are talks of Boko Haram, banditry, killer headsmen, Sheikh Gumi? Right now there are talks by the federal government to invite him for questioning. Some of the headlines even has it that the Sheikh Gumi is not above the law. For the first time in almost a very long time, the federal government seems to be talking tough on activities of the cleric. What are your thoughts on Sheikh Gumi? Do you think it's long overdue for him to be invited?
For me, in a country where the fight against terrorism is taken seriously, Gumi should be in jail. I'm very serious.
What are your reasons?
He knows these people. He is involved with these people. He has been negotiating with these people. Right? One of his closest allies was named. Can't remember the guy's name now. One thick, dark guy. Just named among the terrorism financiers. And what did the Gumi say when that happened? He said that the federal government had no power whatsoever to declare anybody a terrorism financier. So for him, he does not even believe that this is terrorism. And he has also said so. When people say where and who the terrorists are, he counter claims that the security agents also know where the terrorists are. Do you understand that? In other words, he knows where they are as much as Nigerian security agents know where these people are. You see, there is a big danger in all this, a very big one. It means that those who should join forces with government to stop terrorism in Nigeria are actually aiding and abetting it. That is the issue. When the school children were taken, his retort was the federal government shouldn't repeat the mistakes of the Muhammad Buhari presidency that failed or refused to negotiate, that they need to negotiate. And elected himself. Yes. And elected himself.
Proposed himself to be
the negotiator in chief.
The mediator.
Yes. He elected himself. So activities of such a person ought to be thoroughly investigated. Thoroughly. Because he has admitted that much, that he knows he can negotiate on behalf of Nigeria. And he also, at one point or the other, insisted that these people are not terrorists. He said so. It's out there. Google doesn't forget. Internet doesn't forget. He said that these people are not terrorists. That in fact, he told government to settle bandits. That they should be settled. They should be rehabilitated. They should be settled. They should be settled in the way and manner the Niger Delta militants were settled. These were the proposals, or rather the position of Gumi. A man like that, right, that is always standing between government and these people, you know, compromising the process, is a problem to the fight against terrorism and banditry in Nigeria.
But then, saying that this man now has always posed as a problem to the fight, to the efforts of the government in curbing these activities, or the activities of these criminal elements.
Yeah.
What do you think could have been the reason for the perceived reluctance of the federal government over time in, you know, taking decisive steps? Probably invite him at the very least, invite him and question him.
His position in society. You know, a lot of people may not know Gumi. Gumi is a retired army officer. Many Nigerians don't know this.
Retired as a colonel or lieutenant?
He was an officer, you know, minimum captain. He retired. He's a medical doctor. Many people don't know this. Gumi is not a small person. He is linked across board within and outside Nigeria.
Well-read, well-traveled.
Well-read, well-traveled. He is a sheikh in his own right, an Islamic scholar. And he has a lot of following. Government in dealing with somebody like that, you know, the tendency is to be a bit careful. And of course, don't forget that in the last 8 years or more, the presidency was headed by a retired army officer also. That is Spirit Duko. He will be enjoying it now.
But then, but an average Nigerian will say that given the manner the federal government have handled the Nnamdi Kanu issue, then the federal government should also be, you know, bold enough to handle someone like Sheikh Gumi.
It depends on who is in power. Everything depends on who is in power.
So you think you think the federal government, successive governments now, have always had some kind of soft spot for
the man? It's obvious. It's obvious.
So what could have been the reason?
The reason I've already told you that about his standing, about his connections, including the army establishment. You know, as a retired officer, that means a lot. If you have a president that is a retired army officer, you don't know whether they served together in the same corps and all that. You know, so many things. That is one. And then the perception of the government of the day about terrorism. If you have a government that sees terrorism as freedom fighting, as Buhari did, there is no way they will be frowning at somebody like Gumi. Do you understand what I'm saying? And again, you have a very weak police force or police system that is generally unable to really rise to security challenges in Nigeria, to the point that as we speak, it is the Nigerian military that took on the president of Miyetti Allah, that formed, trained, and commissioned a militia group in Nasarawa State. Even in that commissioning, a senior police officer was there as a guest. He took the Nigerian military to intervene, arrest the man for prosecution. Because what he did was an affront to the Nigerian constitution. I think section 243 or something like that, that says that there shall be only one police force for the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and no part thereof shall form another. So when you form a militia group, you have actually formed a force contrary to the express and extant provisions of the Nigerian Constitution. Now, if you look at that from that perspective, you will see why everything rises and falls on leadership. It depends on who is in power. If President Tinubu allows the security agencies to do their job, as he appears to be doing, things will get better with time.
All right, now on a final note, now I want you to quickly respond to this question in 90 seconds.
Okay.
Talking about leadership, do you think that the President Tinubu administration, looking at his policies so far, looking at the decisions he has made so far, do you think that this administration have what it takes to come out of all of these challenges in flying colors in 90 seconds?
Yes. See, first and foremost, I'm not a fan of Tinubu, but I want it to succeed. Because if he succeeds, the better for all of us. If he fails, we will suffer it the more. Many of his policies are not good. Naira flotation, right? And fuel subsidy removal. These two policies. He must figure out how to come out of it. And I've often said that there is only one way. Peg the Naira, peg the price of fuel for the next 6 months to 1 year. It's inescapable. He needs to do something about his cabinet. Too many deadwoods. Apart from, maybe Wike Umahi, the guy in internal affairs, interior, then the communication guy. Can't see any other minister.
Thank you so much for.
Do you understand that? He needs to retool. He needs to bring in people who have excelled in their fields of endeavor within Nigeria, outside Nigeria, within APC, outside APC. Bring shop, do head hunting. That was what Obasanjo did. That was what Yar'Adua did. That was what Jonathan did.
Thank you so much, Dr. Law, for your
pleasure is always mine.
Insightful analysis. We really do appreciate your time. Viewers at home, this is where we draw the curtain on today's episode of the program. Do also join us again, same time, same station tomorrow. My name is Francis Adeniyi. Bye.